Welcome back to another day of Africa Logistical Agency. I am Mike, and I will be doing the live. Brother Garth, he will be in tomorrow. So let me do this real quick. Let me see. Oh, this is it right here. I hope everyone is doing good today. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. Okay. All righty. Let me see what else. Yes. Over the weekend, I was contemplating a whole lot of things. Well, I ain't gonna say a whole lot of things. There were some things that I was pondering over, and I was talking with some other brothers and sisters and things, and they was telling me, how things are in Dar. And like I once said, our lives are not so much so different. It's just the fact that we speak a different language. That's the only thing that pretty much is going to separate us. When it comes down to food, activities, we're pretty much on the same totem pole. There's a whole lot of things we do very, very similar. Even when it comes down to worship, I mean, there's one, two, three. There are like one, two, three to four churches on one block. Not a whole lot of liquor stores, but churches, yes. Packed on Sundays, yes. And the thing I noticed that was this. So I needed to go to the mall to purchase some equipment. It was Sunday morning, and everybody that was walking to church, I noticed, were women with her kids rather. If I seen a man walking, he had a Bible. I just took it that he was the pastor or something like a deacon or whatever, and he was walking with his wife. But the men, they was working. I seen one brother in the field. He was tending to his garden. And the sisters, they was heading straight to church. And you could tell when it's the most popular church, it's the biggest one. That's one thing I noticed. Everybody want to go to the biggest church. And that's where majority of people was going to. The thing that's kind of sad about it is this. There's not a lot of brothers. There were not a lot of brothers that I seen that was walking to church with their families. Just sisters with the kids. So this is not about attending church, but it is about brothers taking the lead as men. When I say these things, that when we talk about taking the lead, and I do understand, the world puts so much stress upon Black men, and this is not something that's going to be sitting right here thinking we're going to pacify some of the actions of our brothers. No, not. We're not even trying to entertain that route. Not one red cent. Because When it's time for a man, a black man to stand up, that black man needs to stand up. I don't care if he have one leg. Use that one leg and go ahead and stand up. Attend to your business. But unfortunately, in this world, the roles of men have been demonically switched around. Yes, it has. I've seen men that want the respect of a man, but with a childish persona. They want the respect of a man, but don't want to do what is called for a man to do. Many of us thinking that, all right, the father's supposed to work, make money, bring home the money to the mother. She take the money, go buy groceries and things for the house, and come back home. That man's responsibility is so far exceeding that it's not even funny. But now the world will make you believe that, alrighty, it is the woman's responsibility to open up with prayer for the family food. Okay. It's not her responsibility. But this is what the world is portraying. This is what the world is portraying. So when the world starts to portray things, or what the devil is allowing the world to portray, he's portraying everything that is opposite of the Most High, to which he had set up. This is what has been set up. And the devil does things absolute opposite of what the creator has already put in place. And that's pretty much steams out of jealousy, or wanting to be like someone, wanting someone's position. This is what the devil has done. And we as young black men should not be feeding into. We should not feed into that. I don't care what they put in TV. The TV is the devil's eye. Broadcasting, broad, and it's casting out a message. You look at the TV shows now. The man is always the idiot, the one who always don't get the end of the joke. He got to be the dumb one. But he's the man in the house that plays the role of the father. But he's a joke. Pay attention to these so-called family shows. This is what they portray. And unfortunately, some of us got caught up with some of the things, some of the actions. So don't think that just because they call it a family show and that you watch the show, that it does not affect you and your action. Black men. It does. It does. And I understand if some of you brothers, you try to fight to maintain your stance as a man. And I know some of you went through court trying to get custody of your child. I understand that. I've been through that. I did that. $200,000 it cost me to get custody of my son. And you talking about stress? Oh, man, I had so much stress. You can backstroke in it. I understand. Well, you just want to, forget it. And there was one brother that talked with me at the time I was going through the issue of trying to get custody of my son. And that brother said to me, he said, Mike, don't you ever give up fighting for your son. He said, I'm going to tell you from personal experience. He said, man, I was fighting for custody of my daughter and everything. But he said, man, they stressed me out so bad, Mike. It was going to be either me or death. And he gave up fighting for his daughter. His daughter got grown. And right about when she was in her late teens, she reached out to him. And they started formulating a relationship. But he said this, and he thought everything was cool. He thought everything was brushed up under the rug, as they say. And he said, man, I noticed that at the time his daughter was 20. She was 20-some years old, drinking age, I could say that. And so they would go out, and she made it a ritual that she spent time with her father, and they going out and, drinking and sitting back talking. He said, but when she drank a little bit too much, that's when the truth come out. And he said, man, Mike, I noticed I didn't realize that my actions really hindered my daughter. And he said, every time she would get a little bit tipsy, she would complain to him, why didn't you fight for me? You knew my mama was crazy. Why didn't you fight for me? And he said, man, then she'll just start crying very profusely. And he said every time he always had to take his daughter, take her by one hand and put it over his shoulder and kind of lift her up and walk her out of the bar. He said, but man, those words, he said, they hurt. And he said, I tried to explain to my daughter how it was so stressful. It would have killed him if he would have continued. To which I understand exactly what he's talking about. I do understand that. But this is what the system is set up. It's set up to separate us more than anybody on this planet. It is. It's built for us to take a step down, not just a step. They want you to fall a couple of stories down from your position as a man. And we should not be taking that step. I understand. I do. The stresses that comes with it. Everything that you got to do to maintain, to take care of your kids. It's a difficult task that we're trying to our best to hold on to. You have this is a spiritual fight. You have a spirit being fighting against your flesh. This is what you have. You are the one, you brothers, who has the strength within your voice. And listen to me when I say you have strength in your voice, you have strength in your voice. Don't let the world make you believe that your voice is wimpy. I don't care how soft or how deep your voice can be, it has strength. You say this, let it be. You say that, let it be. You have strength. If you stutter a little bit, so be it. You still maintain strength. Did not Moses complain that he stuttered and all that? I can't speak until he made the Most High mad. Most High said to him, oh, yeah, he made the Most High mad. Because he's starting to question the Most High. I don't speak so-and-so. And the Most High look here, do you see I'm having a conversation with you. I can straighten your voice out. Quit trying to cut short my hands. Brothers, it's the same way. The world has cut some of our brothers' hands off and they feeling hopeless. We're not hopeless. I seen brothers with no arm take their feet, toes, and drive a car. Don't tell me what can't be done. Has it not been said that when there's a will, there's a way? Or did I say that backwards? There's a way, if there's a will, there's a way. Brothers, I just said it. If you willed something, please let it be in good nature. And let it happen the way you want it to happen. You have a strength. This is the opportunity of doing business in Africa. We have an opportunity. You brothers, and I'm gonna say sisters too, but I'm really concentrating on brothers today. You have a strength to ask for things to happen in your favor. Do it not just for you, but for your other brothers and sisters. Because when you succeed, a lot more succeed right after you because of your strength of your words. Your words are very strong. Do not allow self-pity to suck you up. Self-pity will lead to your Bible being dusty. And when your Bible get dusty, your life get dirty. And sometimes it get muddy. So we got to fight, brothers. The sisters, some, no, I'm gonna say some. A lot of them are tired. They're worn. They're worn. They raise kids, and their kids having kids. Now she's the grandmother. 9 times out of 10, the grandmother is raising the grandchildren. They orchestrated our outcome for Black families. When I say they, I'm talking about the governments, the nations. They orchestrated that. They knew they had to break us up because we had a bond that was near about unbreakable. They knew this. They had to literally sit down, get a team of people to orchestrate what they needed to do to break down the so-called Black man. How can we break this Black man down first? How can we bring in enmity between him and his son? The mother, how can we break this woman down along with her daughter? These are the things they sat down, put it in paper, on paper, to break us up. And it succeeded. It did. They broke us up. They did. It worked like a charm. And when I say charm, charm. And everybody knows that charms deal with some witchcraft and things. Yes, exactly what I'm saying. They use witchcraft, charm, pick one. It doesn't matter. It means the same thing against us. That's all they did for us. That is absolutely it. Now, I never forget, I was a child living in projects, and when these, I know some of you remember this movie, Dead Presidents. Um, I was a child, but at that time, I knew a lot of guys that was coming back from the army. And they was coming back to the projects, and everybody saying, he feeling proud that he went and served. He had his nice little iron creased up army suit on with the medals and everything. A whole lot of black guys in the project. Everybody, because we ain't seen them in years. They coming back feeling good about themselves. But once that dust settled, depression kicked in. Post-traumatic stress kicked in. And when you want to talk about robbing banks, good night. Those brothers. Whew. A lot of them rob banks. And I don't know what it is. When they rob a bank, they always drive back home to the projects. Now, where I live, we had speed bumps. So I'm saying to myself, they keep on driving fast. Every time they drive over a speed bump, they end up crashing into a car that's parked. And that's how they get caught. So when I say dead presidents, I lived through that time, seeing brothers coming from the army and unemployable. I seen their wives come out. You didn't get you a job, you lazy, so and so, so and so, so and so. I seen the stress on them. I seen the thing they said to them. It's like the devil went in and took patience away from black families. That's what I seen. Have you ever seen that movie? The same thing happened. Then the one who's not doing right by his brother and sister, that'd be the one that slyly come in and say, I'm taking care of your family, hoping to strike that man's inner emotion. And one thing you don't do to a man, a black man especially, is attack his character and his ability to take care of his family, especially when you have a system that is working against you. That's the fastest way to take a beat down, a beat up, a beat down, beating the brakes off of them and putting the brakes right back on them. You don't attack a man that way. But this is what the world brought about. But then at the same time, this is the time where brothers need to stand up and, shake those shackles off of you. The first shackle that should be shaken off is the mentality. It's the mentality. Back in the 90s, and this is the time, Snoop Dogg, 50 Cent, about all the rap was talking about, I'm a pimp or whatever the situation may be. That was the worst time black people was cursed. The 90s was the worst time because they was calling our sisters all out their names, talking about what they were going to do to their own brothers. They didn't hesitate putting a nigga on his back. These are the things our people said about their own brothers and sisters. And you expect a blessing from that, although you may get the devil's money. And that's what they got. Their families, those rappers' kids, they don't allow their kids to listen to their music. But they don't care what happened to your kids. The same thing with drug dealers. They don't, whether your kids take that or not, it don't care as long as they get money. But now you serve that to their kids. Now you're messing with a drug dealer's emotion. See, this is the thing. The 90s was the worst time for us. The worst. And some of those guys are still living high off the horse of some of the previous stuff that they sung about. And it was catered to those neighborhoods that we all are from. It only knocked us down so many levels down. That's all it did. That's all it did. There was no glory that any of these so-called entertainers did for the Black communities. When you take a step back and you listen to a lot of stuff that they be saying. Even what some of the sisters are saying now. And it could be me. Think about your days when you getting older. That's all you have to do. Think about that. How do you want yourself to be portrayed as? Because time don't stop for nobody. And this is the time that we need to stop and reinvent ourselves as a nation, as men, Black men. This is what we need to do. We know for a fact we're not no scared. Well, some of these brothers are scared. Let me take that back. Some have apprehension. I'm not going to call them scared. And some brothers like to think before they act, which is smart. But when it's all over said and done, the standing up part, the reinforcing of our minds and our hearts is a needed necessity. We need that. We got to start thinking about our brothers in a better light. We cannot be looking at our brothers as somebody who's always ready to fight. We're not living in the clubs. This is reality. You go to clubs, somebody's going to get shot and killed. Chicago, man, please. I went to a club twice, and that was it. Never went back again. That is not my cup of tea. It is not. But when you go in there and you have individuals looking, searching, hoping for trouble, that sounds like mental issues. That's what that sounds like. Bracing up our minds is a must. If you're 25 years old, right now, trust and believe, the 5 years you that may be in front of you, you're gonna be 30 years old. Then you're gonna be looking back, I remember just yesterday I was 25. Now you're 30. Time does not wait on you to get your stuff together. It doesn't. That child you had back when you was 15 or 16 years old, yeah, It's like that. That's the way it is. Grandmothers are now becoming grandmothers in their 30s. I never forget. There's one sister when I was working for the phone company and I was fixing her internet. I fixed it and everything. She was holding like a not a newborn. Baby was a couple months old. So, oh, congratulations. I said congratulations to her because I thought she had the baby. She said, no, this is my daughter's baby. I'm looking at her and I'm already, I'm doing the math in my head. I'm like, if this woman is, I'm like, man, she back in she in her 30s. And boy, man, listen to me. I think I talk too much. And I think the sister picked up on it. And I said to the sister, I like, your daughter? I like, sister, you look like you just got into your 30s. Yeah, my daughter, she's 15 and she caught herself. She caught herself. And then her disposition, boy, she frowned up so bad, man. Oh yes, she did. I said, well, let me just shut up and get myself up out of here. Her daughter was the same age when she had her daughter. History repeated itself. And yeah, the sister was, I think at the time she was like less than 35, I can say that. She was less than 35 years old and she was a grandmother. And she was proud of it. This is what they did to the Black families. And it's time for the brothers, to stand up. It's time for us to start doing something a whole lot different than what you may be used to. Sitting back off in the cut, wait for your wife, your grandmother, your mother to say the prayer. No, bro, you should be first and foremost. Because if somebody come and kick in that door, who do you think the family is going to look for first and foremost to stand up against what's happening to the house or people in that household? It's going to be the men folks. Now, if you sit up here and tell your mama go get a gun and things of that nature, you got a problem. You have a serious problem. Even the world knows this. To overtake a house, first, you must bound the man. That's first and foremost. If he has a son, especially if he's in his teens, he is also to be equal with his father when it comes to strength. He needs to be bound too. The wife, the daughters, all they need is trauma. You take a blunt object, hit either or, the son or the father, for them to see. Then they break down. They feel hopeless. This is what they orchestrated against our family. And they did just that. They attacked our brothers and sons. Yes, we went through a lot. Yes, we have. But we're not going to sink down in misery on that. We're going to rise from it. We're the only people that is built for this. We're the only ones who are built for this. Why do you think, brothers, Japan is asking for African American men to come over there and marry Asian women? Your reproductive system is unique, just as much as it is for a Black woman. Although the world has tried everything to diminish or destroy your reproductive system, recognize who you are and stand up. Recognize it. You're not wimps. You're not stupid. And first and foremost, you're not a threat. But they think you're a threat because they don't know how to handle you. Still to this day, they do not know how and why we continue to maintain. We must fight to reinforce our line of thinking and our thinking strength. This is what we must do. This is the time for us to wake up and to brace up. Because these sisters are under attack. And you brothers, I'm finna lay something down on you. Ooh. And it's it's discouraging. For what a lot of our sisters are going through. Brothers, our sister, and I gotta turn this to our sister. I was saying I was going to talk with just about the brothers, but what they're suffering from has a lot to do with us. Do you all know that majority of young girls and women who have been assaulted were assaulted by us from the ages of 7 to 9 years old? A lot of them. And a lot of them did not go out to get mental help from the trauma that they was put into. I say what they was put into. Yes, a lot of them sisters would take their past history and apply it to the new relationship. They do. And it's not right. But what do they know? They've been hurt. The man they look to as a protection is the one who offended them. Brothers, when I say it's time for us to stand up, when I say stand up, I mean you need to stand up. My mother told me I think she was 7 years old. And she was walking with my uncle, her brother, and they went to go see my great uncle, which was their uncle. And because I always ask myself, why we never met that side of the family? Never knew, until my mother told me. She said, so one day they walked over to my uncle's house, and they was knocking on the door. Nobody never came to the door. And, in the country, my brother, not my brother, my uncle assisted my mother to stand on his shoulder while she knocked on the window to get somebody's attention to open up the door, because they was at the front door. What my mother seen made her yell. These things and what some dumb men do. My mother yelled and was so scared. My uncle was like, what? So he was a little bit taller than her. So he kind of jumped up and he seen what my uncle was doing. And he said, come on. He said, come on, Rose. So they running away. He upset because they seen him. So my mother said, that's the reason why you all never spent no nights over nobody's house except for one. One house we did go over and spend nights with. That was it. We didn't spend no. My mother would not allow for us to go over nobody's house and spend a night. She didn't play that. She didn't. Now it makes a whole lot of sense. Some of what our brothers have done is sad. It is absolutely just sad. And if you all only knew, well, let me get that nonsense out. Let me rephrase that. A lot of you brothers know. And that time, if you only know, y'all know. You know. We gotta do better. We must do better. If you choose not to do better, trust and believe, somebody go get kicked to the roadside. If you don't want to stand up as a man, so be it. That's your God-given will. And whatever you will, it will happen for you, whether it's good or bad. Understand that. These things is not about self-gratification. Those that nonsense, that ship has sailed to its demise. You brothers need to stand up. It is a must that you stand up. And if you don't stand up, somebody go stand up above you and at the same time step on top of you. And then on coming back from that, he don't need men he brought into the world to be wimps or cowards. He need them to stand up and to do what he asks you to do. It's just that simple. This is a necessity for you brothers to stand up, whether in the United States or here in Dar es Salaam. You need to stand up. And the sad thing about it being here, the essay against our sisters, man, please. You go to court one day for something you say you did. I mean, somebody say you did. And these men will be out the next day. The very next day. They know the system. They know what they put in place. And what the world think about our sisters, it's sad. It's really sad. And they treat them accordingly. I wish I can go into more in depth about it. And one day I will. One day I will. When I ran into some of the Gentiles here, they looked at me and they looked at me in a way because they knew where I was from. I went to off a beach, and me and this other brother, Jacob. So we went to this restaurant. And there was some Gentile women there, and half drunk. And when I say they was laying around like there was no tomorrow, like this is the life, we are untouchable. That's the type of atmosphere they gave off. And they had their eyes on the brothers there. Brothers walking around with guitars and they singing for a few dollars or whatever, and things of that nature. They know exactly their position, and they're playing it down to this very day. Now, if you're just talking about that with the, I'm just talking about that with the local brothers here in the Gentiles visiting and vacationing there. Now, I want you brothers now to take that same scenario and flip it. Flip it. So now they're white Gentile men along with our sisters. It's not a pretty scene. It's not. Imagine that being your sister, your cousin. Because when it's all over said and done, it is your family member. It is. Once this is told about her experience, how this Italian made a recording of some of the things she did, and she said, "I'm not." She just disgusted with herself. But they know exactly where they can go to do those things against the people where their financial bagging is so low that it is considered to be in. It's just so low. They know this. You got a people that's in want, and you using it for your self gratification. And if not you, maybe your animal, and you can record it. This is what they do or have done. Brothers, this is the reason why brothers need to stand up and start speaking against a lot of the stuff that is being practiced, not just here, also in the United States. But we feel, all right, man, it is what it is. If that's the attitude that you want to maintain, that it is what it is, you're going to be put in a position for you to eat those words. And usually it may be somebody that maybe your daughter, your sister, but you go find out why it is necessary for you to stand up as a man, as a brother. It's not the time to be sitting right here haphazardly thinking that your life is so important that you need to just do you. Keep on thinking it's about doing you, and you will get done. You will get done. What they have done to us, brothers and sisters, is deeply disturbing. We don't sit around here and mumble and grumble. We just try our best to stand up as a people, or a person for that matter, and find other brothers to cling to who has the same mindset as yours, so that iron sharpens iron, and you keep on getting stronger and stronger. These are the things that we need to continue to fight to do. Because when you have a sharp mind, can nobody come in and slide talk you. Because every time you hear their words, they're being cut up, dissected. That's what a man does. And with that, we need to teach our sons. No, you know what? The best way to teach your sons, our sons, is by action. That's the fastest way for them to learn something. If you think it's a joke, I'm going to tell you from experience. My son, when he was younger, he'd go over his mother's house for the weekend. She called me back, tell me, come and get him. And I'm like, what's going on? I told him that so and so this and so and that. And he was like, you can't tell me to do something, only my daddy can. So I talked with him. I said, no, you will have to be obedient as to what your mother says. To which he started to fall in line. But when he got ready, he got up to a particular age, he wanted to pray instead of him listening to his mother and his grandmother and his auntie. And when he felt that he was at that age where he can pray, nope. They did not want that. Now, granted, his mother is headstrong. So that became a problem with him when he's trying to stand up as a young man. I taught my son how to cook. He was 7. Weekends? No. I didn't get up and cook. My son knew exactly what he needed to go in there and cook. He made him some eggs, pancakes, and hash browns, and turned some cartoons on. He was straight. He was good. That's how I taught my son. And that's not always the case with other brothers and sisters. I mean, with brothers. But my son, he looks at my actions. That's what he did. A lot of things he seen me do. I mean, that was and even just watching movies. My son said to me, he said, Dad, why are you always watching these survival movies? You'll be surprised of what your kids will learn from you by things that you do around the house, brothers. If you're walking around the house cursing all the time, trust and believe, they're going to start cursing too. And they're going to curse around you. My son don't curse because I don't even curse in conversation. If he cursed, trust and believe, he upset about something at school. But just haphazardly, just talking in conversation, no, he don't curse. They mimic what you do, brothers. Your words and your actions holds weight with your kids. They do. The more you brothers start to stand up, oh, brothers, we will be a force to be reckoned with. It's simple. It ain't the fact that I know it. You brothers, you know it. The brothers and sisters that are in the chat knows this. There's a change. And that change needs to happen within ourselves. That's where it needs to happen first and foremost. Then we got to gravitate it into your family, to your kids. When you recognize what you've been wrong in, so be it. You wrong, man up to it, move on to bigger and better things. You're not no wimp. You are extremely smart and strong men. That's who you are. That's who we are. You have queens that are waiting for you to step up And don't get me wrong, yeah, the world at the same time got a particular group of women who's hell bent on working against you. Run from those ones. Run. There's no good that's going to come about that until they start to make changes. So, these are the things. Tell me any other race of people that teaches black women to work against black men. Tell me any other race outside of blacks, and you will not find not one. Because they ain't gonna do it. They ain't gonna tolerate it. But we ran head first to do these things. And don't get me wrong, a lot of things was put in place for it to happen that way. Let's lay off the black men. Let's lay them off. All right. Let's give them criminal records where it'd be difficult for them to find a job. But then we can hire the women, their wives, girlfriends, or whatever you want to call it, hire them. And when they making some money and they got this so-called deadbeat dad, so she's automatically is going to think less of him and more of herself. I don't need a deadbeat man. I need a man who's going to be equal to me. This is the mentality that the world has put up on our sisters. And a lot of them are feeding into it, unfortunately. Unfortunately, they feed into it. And those usually be the one that get old with a cat. But that's the deception that they have pushed upon our sisters. We have the responsibility of building our family back up. This is what we have. It is our responsibility, brothers. And let us truthfully fight hard to do just that. Yes, the court system is against us. Start maneuvering things around to get things to work out in your favor. Research. And whatever stress that may come upon you, if your brothers is going through with child custody and things of that nature, take time to stand back and breathe. I spoke with a lot of brothers going through that. A lot of them. And if you want to talk about stress, talk to a black man who haven't seen his kids in a couple of years. I talked to those brothers. I heard those brothers break down like newborn babies. But in closing, I'm gonna tell you this story of this lady and our hatred. I mean, granted, now this was not a black family. It wasn't, but it was horrendous. And some of these things, well, I ain't gonna say some, a lot of the things that this woman did, some of our sisters practice it like it's as if it is a religion. That being said, this lady was always wondering why she never met her father. And the mother told her that her father was dead or deceased. So what had happened? Something just didn't sit right with her. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Not he was not deceased. She said, he just didn't want no parts of you. And so, but the lady started doing research, and when DNA came about, that's like opened up a whole lot of doors to finding people. And it did. she found her father. And so when she found him, and this how it went about. She had a person that was working in between her and the father. So the person came up and said, "Look here, there's this lady named such and such, such and such, and she believes that you are her. I'm her father." That's what the man said. He said it before he finished the sentence. She said yes. He said yes. She wants to meet you and so on. And so now he getting ecstatic. He said, "Oh, okay." So they set a plan up to meet. They met, and she introduced, introductions, and so she asked, "Why haven't you ever, came to visit me or reached out to me and things of that nature?" So the father said, he said, "I tell you what, I don't want you to take my words for it." He said, "Allow me to go home to go get some things to give to you." So they set up for another meeting. The meeting, the next time they met, he came with a suitcase, and he brought it into the restaurant, sat it on the table, opened it up, and it was birthday cards and letters that he was writing to her. And he kept the envelope, and it served its purpose. And it had stamped "Return to Sender." That's what was on all the letters. Birthday cards, and every last one of the birthday cards had money in it. The money that he sent, he never took the money out. It was still in the cards. So the girl, she started to break down and crying and think. She was she was asking why. And he said the last time he spoke to her mother, she said to him, "You will never speak to her again." That was the last time, or the last words that her mother said to her father. He said, "I've been reaching out for you since your mother took you away from me." So the lady went back to her mother, and she asked her mother, "Why would you tell me that my father did not want to have anything to do with me, and you knew he was sending letters, and you returned the letters back, return to sender?" "Well, you don't even know. You was too young to understand." She said, "What is it that I do not understand that my father is sending me a birthday card or a letter to see how I'm doing? What is it about that I do not understand?" Oh, but it got tragic. It got tragic. So she been meeting with her father and everything. And then she got a phone call. She met with her father for 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks. She met with him. She tried her best to spend every drop in time with him because she had a daughter. She brought her daughter to meet her grandfather for the first time. And then he died. Going into the third week, he suddenly died. Now, that daughter told her mother, "You will never see my granddaughter again. You lied on my father, and you will not see her ever again because you did not have to do what you did. I only knew my father for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. When you could have alleviated that from the word go, but you didn't. Whatever childish, unnecessary nonsense that she maintained it till her daughter got into her 30s. And her daughter put it right back up on her." Brothers and sisters, be careful of how you tell your kids about the other parent. because those kids are going to bring it back to you. And I hope that you have the strength to contend with it. Brothers, man up, stand up, strengthen yourselves up mentally and spiritually and physically. This is the time to regain our families along with their trust. This is what they need from us. And on that note, brothers and sisters, stay prayed up. Keep your head on the swivel. They don't like us, but we love ourselves, and let that love be our strength. Shalom.